What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Barber Block Podcast, where we're here to talk to real barbers, real people, and have real talk. We're here to share, inspire, and educate, and just bring value to the barbering community. So today we have another great guest here. We got Quick. Welcome, Quick. How you doing today?
Good, man. How you doing?
All right, man. Appreciate you coming through and spending this time with us and just to share your story. And, we're just going to feed off of each other's energy and go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for thinking of me and inviting me over, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's just jump into it. Let's just talk about the name. How'd you get the name Quick? What's the story behind that?
Quick, man. So a lot of people know me as Quick. That came from a young age, about 14, 15. My good friend, man, Johnny Vasquez, rest in peace. He gave me my name. Yeah. And it started off as something that was kind of funny. He seen a dude on the Most Wanted, the local Most Wanted, that he thought looked like me. So and it said AKA Quick. And he's like, that's you, Quick. So then he kept saying it, and then it just caught on, And so I took it, I became Quick. Yeah. I just became Quick. So and then taking that and moving into the business world, Quick work, it works great. It's something that, nobody's tapped into really a Quicks. There's Quick Trip, stuff like that. But the quick thing is simple, it's catchy, and it's worked for me, man. And it's really like something that I'm keeping alive that my good friend, you know what I'm saying, gave me. And it was really a gift. I didn't know it was a gift all the way back then, but to give me a brand, you know what I mean, as a nickname. Yeah. Nowadays, I don't introduce myself as Quick just because in the professional world, I've had some awkward experiences where I'm like, yeah, what's up? My name's Quick. And they're like, Quick, is that your government name or your first name? I'm like, then I got to explain it. So I will say, my name's Mike. Some people know me as Quick. Yeah. That way people, but some people don't even realize that the brand is me.
That is you.
Yeah.
It's but your identity.
It's my identity. Yeah. But that's okay because, Mike, Quick, whatever, same person. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So at what age did you, decide that, I'm going to get in the barber game? What was it for you? What triggered that?
Man, it was so progressive that I don't 12, 13 at the house with the clippers in the bathroom, cutting my own hair.
What was your first set of clippers?
It was some walls. I want to say it was like the gray wall designers with the cord. Yeah. Back then, we didn't have the half guard and the 1.5 guard, so it was really tricky. Fading just it was almost like, dang, how do you do this? But enough times that I messed up and shaved my head down, and I started to get it, man. And then, homies want to get their hair cut, so we're on the back patio or, in the garage. Spent years doing that and never really pursued it. Just kind of like enjoyed it here and there. Did it for myself. Did it for a few people that knew me, but didn't realize, what I had. So fast forward to age 19, I got in trouble. So I get in trouble, I caught a case. A lot of people don't know this about me either because I don't talk about it a lot. But caught a case, ended up going down and served 4 out of 5. And so from the time I was 21 to 25, I was in the joint. And that's where I really got practice at. Yeah, that's where I really got practice at.
So what, were you in was there a class or something, a program that you were going through in there, or you were just like, I'm gonna pick up the clippers and start cutting everybody?
Yeah, I just kept sending kites, man. I just kept sending kites like, man, I want that job. I want to do the barber job, When I was in medium security, wasn't able to get it. I made it to minimum security with about 2.5 years left. And I got the barber job there. And there was only 2 barber positions. So when I got the barber job, they just opened the door and said, go for it. You know what I mean? But they did have the 76s in there. They had the Masters. The only thing they were really slacking on was the trimmers, was the Oster T finishers, and I couldn't do much with those.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because we have a contract with some of the prisons that we supply, and that's exactly what they purchased. The Oster T finisher. To this day, they still get that 76, the T finisher, and barber jackets for the program, so that they come out. People who are coming out, they actually come out licensed, and can find a position. Coming right out. So,
man, that's something we might have to talk a little more about too.
Yeah,
if there's some opportunity to help some guys out, I mean, that's right on my lane. So
yeah, absolutely there is. And while you were in there, you're cutting hair, and when you get out, is that when you go to barber school, or what was your path?
Yeah, so practiced, while I was in there, got decent, cutting. The great thing was there was two of us, and there's a whole compound, of different hair types.
Yeah.
So if you want a haircut, you got to come see one of us.
Yeah.
So great practice, man. Great practice. I got to practice on all types of hair, all different types of haircuts. I messed up a lot of heads, man. I messed up a lot of heads, but I really
was your life in danger for messing up haircuts.
There was a few times I was a little wary, like, oh man, I shouldn't have messed this guy's hair up, man. But one thing about being the barber that I learned is the connection that you have. Even in there, I realized that people love their barber, man.
Yeah.
Like really love their barber. They took care of me, man. They took care. I never needed anything.
Yeah.
I had everything I needed. And I have to believe that, for those years because those years were smooth, no issues. I have to believe that that helped in that area, just to keep me out of the drama, keep me out of the politics. And got through that. And so when I get out, I go get a job, washing dishes. I'm at a restaurant. They call it Perkins. It's kind of like a Sherry's, or it's like a family restaurant. And work release. And, I think I was there for like 6 months, 8 months maybe, made it to cook, and I'm cooking, and I just wasn't fulfilled. I was just like, this ain't it, So I put my 2 weeks in, went to cosmetology school, actually. I went to a cosmetology school, and man, the rest is history, man. I fell in love with just the whole rest of the hair world besides my limited knowledge at that point. And I did the cosmetology because back in Washington State, where I moved from, you need a cosmetology license to do color. So I wanted to do color. Now color is really not even a big thing for me. We'll do it, but yeah, so went to cosmetology school, built a great relationship with my instructor, Barberry. We're still in touch to this day. She actually lives down here in Arizona. But yeah, learned a lot from her. She's a mentor to me. So yeah, that's how it started.
So in cosmetology now, they I don't know if it's the same rules in Washington with the limited razor work, or could you do it at all, or
I never had any issues with that. They would have to really, like, in a state where it's not allowed, they would really have to like walk in while you're
doing
using the razor. You know what I mean? So when I did, that was my biggest question when I came to Arizona for the state board was, what is Arizona's stance on the razor, the straight razor for cosmetologists? And the way they explained it to me was, there's nothing in the curriculum that says a cosmetologist can use a straight razor, but there's nothing that says they can't. So it's like a unspoken little gray area, but they can't enforce something that hasn't been written. So it works out for us out here, in Arizona. I know some other barbers that are they operate as barbers, but they're cosmetologists, and no issues for that.
Yeah. So getting into your first shop, what was that experience like, and how long were you there?
So I started in my first shop before I was actually graduated, because I had a fairly good skill set at that time. So, word gets around. One of the local barbershops reached out, and we were able to set up an internship with the school. And so I was getting, I want to say like maybe 500 of my last hours at the barbershop. It was actually in a shopping mall, and I think it was like a 4-5 chair shop. And it was a great experience, even though it was a terrible experience, because I learned so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was great and terrible just because I'm like, I know what I'm not going to do.
Right. What made it terrible? What were some of the things that you noticed that
just the way people were treated, man.
Yeah. Clients,
barbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming down from management, ownership,
was it a franchise or was it
just a single owner? Yeah, I ain't going to call him out, but he know he is. Yeah. I ain't going to give him that much attention.
Okay.
But I left there because I just, wasn't for me. I'm a person that really thrives on like positive energy, man. So I got to be around like-minded people. Yeah. And if I can't find that, then I have to go create it somewhere. And that's how it started. I went from that shop, then I went to another little shop with a good friend of mine at that time, Alberti, my Dominican partner, and we actually went to school together. And then he opened up a little spot. We worked together at that first shop too, and then he went off, opened his little spot. So I worked with him for about 9 months. Real talented, just naturally. He's one of them guys that just naturally just got it to the point where, like some guys just take it for granted. Like, you're so good. Like, guys would.
It's easy for them.
Yeah, it's easy for them. So worked there for, I think, another 9 months, close to a year. And then, I left. And I don't want to get into it. It was just like I was taking care of that shop so much, and like it was mine, like you should. Any barbers that's working in somebody else's shop, treat it like it's yours. Treat it like it's yours. If you plan on being an owner, you definitely want to treat it like it's yours because you want to embrace that mentality right now.
Yeah.
So I treated it like it was mine, and I found myself just doing more than what the owner was doing. And then I just realized, I can go do this myself. You know what I mean? I can do this myself. So started looking around, found a location. And in June 2011, I cracked my first shop, Quick's Barbershop on Monroe and Mission. And
how old were you at that point?
I was 25.
25, so you became an owner at 25, opened up your first shop.
Yeah.
And so how many shops before that? So was it just those 2 shops before you ventured out on your own?
Yep.
So it was fairly fast.
Oh, yeah. Dove right in.
Yeah.
I felt like I was having a hard time finding what I was looking for. So I felt like I had to go create it. And did I know how to run a business? Absolutely not. I knew nothing. You know what I mean? All I knew how to do was cut hair. But you throw yourself in the situation. If you're up for the challenges, then you can kind of start to learn them one at a time.
And what were some of those lessons you needed to learn when you got into ownership? What was like the biggest thing standing out? Like, once you realized, like, I got to learn this.
It'd be hard to pinpoint one thing, but just to sum it up, professionalism, being a professional, and what that means on so many different levels. Because my first shop, that was just a kick it spot, man. It was a nice shop, don't get me wrong. But I mean, we were in there, everybody that I'm connected to, is neighborhood people, street cats, other cat, young athletes. And so we're just doing us, you know what I mean? Not really providing a space that would be welcoming for anybody that wasn't in that lane right there. So really limited myself. One thing that was always important to me that I did have early on was that, I knew how to treat people. So like when people would come in, I knew to treat them well, be glad that they're in your space and that they came to. So, that thing with barbershops where barbers kind of just act like they don't see people coming in the barbershop and acting weird. Yeah. I always knew that wasn't cool. Like, I always knew that wasn't okay. But So many things, man. Everything was trial and error. And really for a long time, I didn't even realize that I wasn't operating as an owner. I was just a barber with a shop around me. You know what I mean? Never really.
A barber with another bill.
Yeah, a barber with another bill.
Another bill to pay.
So yeah, man. But you know,
what kind of atmosphere was it when you say the kicking spot? You know, you just got the homies in there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, before we start, we're smoking in the building. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're smoking blunts in the building. Yeah. Cats just hanging out. You know, a lot of cats just hanging out. Which we didn't have nothing too crazy going on, but once in a while it get a little wild. You know, fights in the shop, fights out back. Just not a professional environment at all. You know, but at that time, you know, I think for a lot of business owners, especially barbershop owners, when you get your first space, it's like, this is my space. This is mine. I'm doing whatever I want here. I'm playing what I want.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think to a certain extent, you know, maybe that's necessary to do. Get it out your system. You know what I mean? But that's not a recipe for long-term success.
Long-term,
yeah. So a lot of trial and error through those years, man. Tough years. But one thing I will say about the journey and putting yourself in those type of situations is that you want to grow as a professional, but you can't grow as a professional until you grow as a person. Mm. So every time I've reached a point in my career where I just kept hitting that wall, I couldn't break through those walls in my career until I turned the focus around and really focus on myself. Mm. So it's really been, and still to this day, it's the same process.
What were some of those things that you needed to focus on yourself to push through those barriers?
Man, so many things, bro. You know, like living a healthy lifestyle, you know, doing the things that promote good mental health, having the right people around me, you know, not having toxic people, you know, because sometimes we don't realize that the people that we think are around us and to support us and are share the same like-minded, you know, mindset that we have. Yeah, they don't. Right. They don't, and they're really on board with you because they see that you are so driven. They're like, I want to get on.
They're along
for
the ride.
Yeah, I want to ride with this cat. Yeah, and to a certain extent, that's okay as long as you're willing to contribute, you know, and do and carry your part of the load. But one thing, you know, that is really important about that is it's cool to inspire and to be inspired, but you got to return that. You know what I mean? What are you doing? What are you bringing to the table to go, I like that, you know, to make people go, I like that, man. Mm-hmm. That motivates me. So, you know, Nas said, you know, one of my greatest creations besides my children is boundaries. Mm. Boundaries is my greatest creation, something like that, besides my kids. And, man, I heard that, and that just stuck with me because boundaries, man, having boundaries for people and coming out to Arizona has been just so great for, you know, for me and my family. I came out here, got to quiet the noise. I got some space where I could just focus on me, do the things to get healthy here, you know, and be in a good space and develop better habits. But having that noise quieted definitely helped a lot. So yeah, man, a lot of personal, you know, I've struggled with depression at times, you know, trying to push through that stuff from, you know, growing up. But then when you go do time at such a young age, you know, you're still forming, you know what I mean? At 19, 20, 21, 22, your brain is still forming. So it's a cold play on your psyche when you get out and you think like, oh, I'm back to it, you know, like nothing ever changed. Right. No, that's not the case. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of ways that mental health comes to get you. And so working through those things, I'm at a place now where, man, I love life, man. Yeah. I love life, you know, when those struggles and those challenges do come, now I do have healthy ways to deal with it, you know. And that's important to me that I pass that on to the people around me, whether it's the barbers, you know, because we all deal with so many things. But yeah, I'm in a like super grateful space, man.
Yeah,
very thankful.
Yeah. So where at what point, did you really see the turnaround? Like you made that decision, like, okay, I need to change my environment. Was it the time you moved to Arizona, or was there something before you left that caused you to change? Like, you needed something different.
I started coming down here just on visits. I have a daughter. Her mom moved down here first. And so they had just been here a couple months. So when I visited, it was like I would come for a week every other month. And so it wasn't like all of a sudden I just said, I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta go get my space. But I felt it. I felt it in little bits when I would come out here. And I was just like, I can literally start from scratch and I can do this exactly the way I want to do it with, like I said, with those boundaries in place to where, I can block out all the negativity. Nobody knows me, so nobody has access to me like that.
Right.
So I think it was after I started visiting here. It was probably a year. I would go like a week, then I would come for 2 weeks, and that's when I was working at Kings of Cuts. Kings of Cuts, I got a lot of love for that shop and that experience because they gave me an opportunity to come rent a chair for a week at a time. Yeah. So I just appreciated that because that for them, that wasn't really a huge benefit to have a barber just kind of in here sporadically for a week at a time.
Right.
But, when I spoke with Richie and then Damien, we clicked and they saw what I was trying to do. And I couldn't just leave Washington because my shop was up. I'm 8, 9, 10 barbers deep. And so I don't want to leave my shop. You know what I mean? I built this up over the last, I opened it in 2011. Shop was doing great. But yeah, once I got down here, I think when I would start to go back and then I would come here and go back, I would see the contrast and I'll be like, life is different. It's different out here. Yeah. When I come out here, it's like nonstop. Like out here, it's quiet and peaceful. When I go back, it was just too much noise. Just too much noise, and a lot of it, negativity. It's kind of like one of those areas. It's kind of small, and it's like crabs in a bucket, man. It's that crabs in a bucket thing. Yeah. So it was good to get away. It was good to get away, man. Yeah. I love it here. This is home. Days like today, this reminds me of, when I fell in love with Arizona. Yeah. I mean, sunshine and 70 degrees. Yeah. So, yeah.
Where some people still under snow.
Oh, yeah.
Or raining.
Oh, yeah. And that's why you got to be, man, you got to be grateful. You got to be grateful if you're experiencing living this and, people are dealing with, I just saw those tornadoes this morning, man. Yeah. That's devastating. Yeah. That was terrible, man. Yeah, that hurt my heart to see that. But, so thankful to be here in Arizona. Yeah. Thankful to be a part of, this barber community that we got. Yeah. It's cool. It's really cool to see it.
So how do you, coming from another state and meeting people here, how were you received? Did you have any issues? Were there any dramas or?
Nah, man.
Was it easy?
Nah,
easy transition.
I lead with love, man. Yeah. So like, I'm gonna show love first. So if it's not reciprocated, I just on to the next. You know what I mean? I never try to force anything, but when you put out that good energy and show love to people, you're more likely to get it back. You know what I mean? But I've always been like very transparent about who I am and what it is that I'm trying to do. I never want to take from nobody. You know what I mean? I want to work with people. Let's work together. Let's grind together. Let's do something together. So, I've always felt like I've been a good addition. If somebody bring me to their shop, I'm gonna make sure that I, do the right things. Treat their shop right, build it up. Look after it. So, no, I haven't had any issues, man. Richie and I had a good run together. We worked at Kings of Cuts, and then we did the Scottsdale Next Level Barbershop thing, which was fun. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. And that was just another. Did
you keep that other shop open, or you still have the other shop?
So I had my shop the whole time.
Yeah. I really didn't. You still have it now, or did you?
I don't have it. It's still open.
You sold it, or
but I did sell it about a year, probably about a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
One of the barbers, Juan, he took over, man. It was cool because he was a student in barber school when I went back to that school to do instructor training. So when I did instructor training, he was there with like a handful of other barbers. And my instructor training was pretty much teach the barbers. Here's the chapter, teach the barbers. So it was very hands-on. I got to teach him and instruct him there. He was already skilled in school, and then we ended up doing an internship where he got to come to the shop, graduated, got his license. Then he came to the shop as a full-time barber. This was 7 years ago, so he's been with me for a long time. So I just felt like he was a great candidate to, pass it on, somebody that I could mentor and help him through the challenges. And he's always been such a hard worker, super respectful, just down to earth guy. So he has the shop now, and he's facing his challenges since he took it over. It seems fairly simple, and to a certain extent, business is once you get it. But until you get it, it's not simple, So now he's dealing with some of those complications, and I'm there for him as much as I can be. But it's cool to be able to be a part of him as a student, him as a professional barber working in the shop. Now he's taking over the shop. He's bought it from me.
You've been a part of his development.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to continue to be that, and that's one of the things that is most fulfilling, because at this point, it's about like helping other barbers build up, build a life. So building their clientele. If they want to open a shop, what can I, whatever I can do to help them. Not so much, just giving materially, but how can I help you? How can I give you something that will last and you could keep it with you? You know what I mean? So.
And so at what point did you decide, like, okay, I'm here in Arizona, I'm going to give it another shot, being a shop owner here in Arizona? Was that the whole plan, the plan all the time, or how did that come about?
It wasn't because I felt like I wanted to go to a shop, build up a clientele, make as much money as I can just working as a barber, and just kind of like take a break from the whole, ownership thing. But when it's in you, you can only avoid it for so long.
Right.
You can only avoid it for so long. So I realized after going to a few different shops that I was like, I think I better start looking, man.
Yeah.
And thankfully I was just walking through Santan Village Mall with my family one day, and I was like, yo, a barbershop would go out here, like, So I started looking around, and there wasn't really a lot out there. So I reached out, man, and thankfully, I made contact with a great couple of ladies, sat down with them, showed them what I was trying to do, and, they saw it, they saw the vision, and they believed in it, and, they worked with me to get in there. So it's been a blessing ever since, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So the shop now, you're in the Santan Mall.
Yeah, Santan Village Mall.
Yeah, Santan Village Mall. And so do you get a lot of foot traffic through there, or how has it been building that spot? Yeah.
So, that's the reason why you want to go really to a mall like that. You want that foot traffic. The great thing, actually, I mentioned too, another shop I worked at out here that I had a great experience. I got a lot of love for them, so I want to shout them out. Was Frank's over at Arizona Mills.
Yes.
I worked at Frank's, and I learned so much from those guys, man.
Yeah.
And they're in a mall, and that's why I thought about them, because when I was in their shop, that was the busiest shop I had ever worked in by far.
Yeah.
I had to get my speed up working over there, big time. And those guys, I learned so much from them. A lot of it was that clipper over comb, whipping that clipper over comb, which I did clipper over comb, but I didn't do it like they were doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that cut my time down. But yeah, shout out to Frank's. So that's what you really like and love in a mall is that traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you're willing to pay the premium, for that foot traffic to come on in. So, yeah, love being out there, man.
Yeah. And so building your team, what has that been like? How has it been difficult? Has it been, what's been that process?
It was at one point. It was difficult to break through. Like, it's like the hardest part of anything is like the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I always say it's like if you trying to push a car that has ran out of gas, the hardest part is going to be when you first start pushing it. Once you get the momentum going, now you got the momentum. So getting that first 1-2 barbers, that was tough, man. I was in there by myself. Now, mind you, we got to be open 7 days a week. So I was in there 7 days a week for 8-9 months,
By yourself.
That was the Twilight Zone for real. Like, man, I was on repeat every day. But it's hard to get somebody to sign up for that because it's like, you want to be the first guy. Do you want to be the first guy to come in here and work with me? Thankfully, it's like with anything, man, you stick with it long enough and you keep on, you're going to break through at some point. Something's going to give at some point. So
this episode is brought to you by Leonetti's Barber Supply. We've been in the barber supply business since 1968, helping barbers deliver their best haircuts. We're located at 1633 East McDowell Road, Phoenix, Arizona, 85006. We've got everything you need. We've got your clippers, we've got your trimmers, we've got your disinfectants, everything you need to help you deliver your best haircut. Now let's get back to this episode.
It was very challenging at first. Got a couple of good barbers, rocked out with a couple good barbers. And then, I started to network in the community. And once I started to network in the community, then it's not so challenging, because I'm in touch with so many barbers now. Yeah. So, I have relationships, and I've realized that a lot of the best barbers, they're the best people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The best people make the best barbers. But a lot of the times, the barbers that end up at the shop now is somebody that I've had a relationship with, and we've seen each other numerous times, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And, I like that because it's different. You sit down with somebody one time on an interview, if somebody just hits you up, you might be able to get a good feel for them, but you might not. People can put on a little bit, for an interview.
Right.
But so having those relationships, which really, that's what this whole thing is about.
Yeah.
Relationships on every level.
Yeah, absolutely. Networking is the key.
Yeah.
In business, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
yeah.
you never know who knows somebody who knows you.
Yeah.
And that's how you get things done.
Yeah.
Is through your relationships. And I've definitely have experienced that.
Yeah, man.
This show wouldn't be here without relationships. You know,
because
And this is what are we? 14 years in the making. You know what I mean? We've been in business and we're getting to this point, because of relationships. So,
absolutely.
So it's definitely the key to building, building anything in business. So once you've got that shop up and running now, because I know I've been in there and, it's an experience when you go in there. So kind of tell me what was in your thoughts about the experience when you walk into Quicks.
Modern, clean. I think simple, I try to do a simple setup, but the energy, man, the energy is the music. We don't work without music. The music goes all day, and we're not just in there thugging. You know what I mean? We got good music for everybody. You walk in there, you're gonna feel like moving a little bit.
Yeah.
So we keep that good positive energy going, and I promote that with the barber. So, coming in, being welcome with that warm energy, and then just being in cleanliness is huge.
Yeah.
You've been in a lot of barbershops. And it's not huge across the board. Right. But, when it comes to if you want to operate at a high level, cleanliness is key, man. It's at the top of the list. Those clients that barbers say they want, those high-end clients, they're not going in a dirty barbershop.
Right.
So cleanliness is really important. I've actually been surprised that Gilbert, man, we get everybody in Gilbert.
Yeah.
There was a little more diverse culture than I expected.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a ton, but it's more than I expected though, which is great because that's something that the Quicks brand from the very beginning has always been very important to me, is that we have an environment that will be welcoming to anybody, young, old, any background, walk of life, nationality. So not only for just the human aspect of it, but because when you got barbers that know how to cut every type of hair, your market is like this big. Yeah. You know what I mean? So and then you just have this place where you got people from different walks of life coming in, and they have a great experience together. And one thing that I've always really, really loved, and when I see people link in the shop that I know probably wouldn't have linked up under most circumstances, different walks of life, different lifestyles. But once they make that connection, we're all more alike than we are different,
right?
So, I love being a part of that, man, part of the community.
So speaking about diversity, so how did you break that barrier? Because me being black, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to ask, can you cut black hair?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's going to be the number one question, you know, and being the supply guy, I got asked that a lot. Like, why do black people always ask that? Like, we don't cut other people's hair.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's because of an experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone messed them up. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like we have to make that part of the interview before we sit in your chair. So, did you have any of that, or, how did you break through those barriers?
I mean, that's, that was a part of my journey. I mean, even let's go all the way back to doing time. You know what I mean? Everybody was coming to me, and back then I wasn't really that great, but that conversation, it usually is, do you know how to cut black hair? And I've seen barbers like get offended by this question, and I'm like, what are you offended for? Like, he's trying to make sure you're gonna, get him right.
Right.
But you got to have thick skin for one, because I mean, you know how it is. You know how it is trying to break through that. You're gonna get comments. You're gonna get comments. You're gonna get guys that are like, "Nah, homie, I'm cool, bro." Like, I'm, kind of like, some people are respectful. Some people kind of, they'll kind of like, "Nah," shrug you off. You're just there feeling like a bum, like that. But it's like with anything, you keep going, you keep sticking with it. I remember times. So the first barbershop that I worked in, straight out of school, was a black barbershop. So, and I already had a decent experience, with Afro textured hair. So I was comfortable, I was confident, but comfortable and confident only works some of the time. Not everybody wants to get in your chair. So I remember times in the first year of my career where, back then I had actual photos, like a photo album.
Like, here you go. I got.
So I would have these pictures.
Yeah.
And it'd be 3-4 guys waiting, and I'd be like, "Yo, who's next?" And they would start looking at each other like, "You next, And I'll pull out my pictures like, "Look, man, I get you right, man." And I remember there was a few times where, a whole group of cats was like, "Nah, we all gonna wait," Yeah. And there was some times where I left the shop, pissed off. Just pissed off because I'm like, damn, man, I cut better than this fool. He's about to jump in his chair and he want to mess with me, not get in my chair because of the color of my skin. But, over time, I built up more and more thicker skin to it, and just, got more of an understanding of why. Like you said, it's like nobody wants a bad haircut. Right. You know what I mean? And it's just not that common that you see, Caucasian barbers cutting black hair really good, So I understand it. And like, throughout my career, I've gotten that question, hundreds of times, and never take offense to it. Always do my best to like make sure I instill confidence in you. Like, I got you, man. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not new to this, man. Yeah. I'm gonna take care of you. And when I started, it used to be, if you don't like it, it's free. If you don't like it, it's free. That got some people in the chair because it's like, oh, free.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
I was like, but you have to tell the truth though. Don't be telling me you don't like it just to get a free cut. So that got people in the chair, but you really got to be a hustler, man. Like you gotta hustle. Like you gotta really get at folks and just really be like, yo, I'm gonna get you right, man.
Yeah.
Man, let me just start with the neck. Let me taper up your neck. You know what I mean? Check it out. And then, mess that up. That's easy. But if you like it, I'll finish your cut. Like you really gotta press, man. So thankfully, that's only in the beginning because you don't want to have to do that your whole career. But that's with anything,
Yeah. Yeah. So now marketing yourself and the brand and what kind of tell me like what's behind the brand. What does the brand stand for?
Man, this journey is taught me so much, and the brand really is a representation of who I am, and then who I am along this journey. What this journey has made made me out to be. So. One thing we talk about a lot is commitment. Commitment. It's about committing yourself to something and really seeing it through. It's really easy to get fired up about something and be like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go be a barber.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't go your way, you kind of just fall off. We see people doing that with everything. So it's about commitment. It's about like I was saying earlier, it's about people. It's about people, relationships. It's about growth, because our career is just one part of our life. It's a very important part of our life. But if this part, the career, is dialed in, then we can build all these other things around that. We can own a home and we can travel and see the world and we can benefit the community and we have a great family life. All those other things, this got to be on point though.
Right.
Because if it's not, then you're going to be scrambling. You're going to be stressed. But the brand it's about so many things, man. I could go on and on just because this journey's taught me so much. It's taught me so much. It's about having vision. It's about having vision and really just having the courage to go after it.
Yeah.
And when things don't go right, again, keep going after it. And when nobody else can see what it is that you're trying to do, you got to be able to see it yourself.
Right. And what they see is you already saw that 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're 5 years ahead.
And it's interesting because sometimes your vision, like like you're shooting, but then it's almost like you get to a certain point and it starts to get blurry. You don't really know. And that's just because we can really only see like a step or two in front of where we're at. Because in the process of going from this level to this level, well, now these doors have opened and now I've learned this, and I also, got introduced to, it's so many other things that happen along the way, but you got to be able to at least move towards that vision,
right? So
that those doors can open.
Yeah.
But the Quicks brand, it's a diverse. You know what I mean? It's about people. It's about equality of, and just love, man. Yeah. It's about moving with love. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next? Is there going to be another Quicks shop popping up, or?
Man, so at this point, I just have the one shop.
Yeah.
So I sold the shop in Washington, and I did have the one in Chandler Fashion Center. So that was a partnership. Sold my half of that one. So now we're back to just one, which was a great decision. That was one of the best things because it just simplified everything. And excuse me, I realized I learned a tough lesson that just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Just because you have an opportunity to open a new location doesn't mean you should.
Right.
I opened that location in Chandler when Santan Village, I think we had like 2 barbers in there, man. And I was just so ambitious. The space came open and I was like, yes, I don't want nobody else to get that space. I want it, Right. So, but that's not what it's about, man.
You're stretching yourself way
too thin. Yeah. Way too thin. I knew, I can say this now because we're done with it, but I knew that first week, I was like, oh man, this was a mistake, but I was like, all right, what are we going to do to get through it? So really just did everything I could to build it up. And when my partner took over, it was built up. 5 barbers deep. There's only 5 chairs in there, so it was full shop. Now she has Chelsea. I don't know if you know Chelsea.
No.
Alex Stala over there.
Okay.
The name of the shop now is the Cut Lab.
Yeah.
So it worked out good because I got to be a part of, her having her first shop. And so we built it up over a year together. And then she, just bought out my half. And, now she's got a solid shop.
Yeah.
So as far as more shops, where I'm at right now with that is when Santana Village location is just like busting at the seams, man. When for one, the barbers, were full, no open chairs, but then really no open chairs for clients too. We got to be busting at the seams because otherwise it's just really not the right time. It's not the right time. You got to be like spilling over in order to fill up another cup. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't just start taking from this cup and pouring in this one.
Right.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, I've learned that lesson.
Yeah, I'm sure because being ambitious, being ambitious, those opportunities weren't always there, right? Yeah. So when they do present themselves, you're like, okay, this wasn't always something available to me. Let me grab this. Let me grab that. But then you realize, like, nah, you gotta really give all of yourself to one thing at a time. Yeah. And do it with care. Yeah. So. Yeah,
and get it to the right position where it's taking care of itself so that you can move on to the next project.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is definitely the way to do it. And so now have you done any barber battles or participated or competed or?
I was never big into battling. I did compete early on, like back in, I want to say 2011. And I took first place. It was it was just the men's haircutting, whatever, going blank here right now. But it was the men's haircutting competition. Yeah. And I did some wild hawk. It was like started in the front, went back like this, and it had like colors. And I took first place. And, I never really got back to the competing thing. But then after that, I went and became a business owner. And I was behind the chair, trying to build up a barbershop for the next, 5, 6, 7 years, so barber battles were not even like on my radar, because taking on such a big project like that, a barbershop is a huge project when you don't know what you're doing, you know what I mean? And then you're 25 trying to figure it out. So yeah, I was in that. I was in that for years and, really didn't realize that I was missing out on so much, not getting out into the community.
Right.
So now I, get out as much as I can, visit the barber schools, the cosmetology schools. I really love visiting the cosmetology schools because mostly ladies at the cosmetology schools don't get a ton of clipper training. Yeah. So they're almost more excited about it than the barbers are. Yeah. Which I love visiting the barber schools too, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But when you go to share, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing that what you're sharing is actually making a difference.
Yeah.
So love getting out in the community, man, now.
So speaking of sharing, so I've on your Instagram, I've seen you doing your shorts and dropping those gems, and I don't know if you were teaching classes or you were hosting classes, but education seemingly has now become a part of your brand.
Yeah.
And so, how important is that to you, and what advice would you have to up and coming barbers?
So as far as educating, being a part of the brand, yes, 100%. At this point, it's like burning inside me if I don't give that and I don't pass that on, I'll be doing a disservice to myself and to those that could possibly benefit from something, because this journey has been so good to me, man. like changed my life, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have to pass that on.
Yeah.
I have to pass that on, man.
Yeah. And so now you've blown up your Instagram with the 40K plus followers, right? So what was the turning point? What did you see, or when did you see that change happen? What was the viral moment?
Man, when we started talking to people, man, when I just sat down and just started sharing little tips and gems, and I gotta give so much credit to my media guy. The collaboration of the two of us has been incredible. I mean, he really is at the top of his game with what he does, and so bringing my knowledge and my experience to the table, and his knowledge and experience, it's just made for a very successful collab. And he understands the social media. I've never been a social media person. Like to this day, I still don't have a personal page on anything, you know. But I knew more and more. I understood the value of the social media. So when we started working together, in my mind, I envisioned like really cool visuals and like theatric barber stuff, because that's what barbers like, you know what I mean? But then he understood what it is that we like to consume as consumers. We want to consume something that we can use, It's like something that it's either something we can use, something that entertains us, makes us laugh, or touches our heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's about it. As far as like what I would say to young barbers is just start. You got to just start. There's no way to prepare yourself to be as good as what you can be without starting. You're not going to be that good starting out. You know what I mean? You have to work at it to get. And it's like I see a lot of people that they don't want to put something out because they're like self-conscious, or they're like, I don't know what people would think about it.
Right.
Don't worry about that, because you don't need everybody to like you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't need everybody you just need a little sliver.
Yeah.
You just need a little sliver of the pie, and that's enough. You know, that's more than enough. As long as you have a loyal group that likes you. And the great thing about each of us is that we all have our own unique gifts, our own unique personality, and they're gonna fall on somebody that relates with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a crowd for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a crowd for everybody. So I would just say, don't not put your stuff out because you think not everybody's gonna like it. I'm gonna tell you right now, not everybody's gonna like it. Not everybody's gonna like it. You know, like that was new for me in putting stuff out, and people talk crazy on there, man. And I never.
Yeah.
It doesn't really get to me because I think I'm grown. I'm mature enough to, I think like know who I am. You know what I mean, and know what I'm not. But it's funny though. It's very funny. But if you go into it, you do want to have that awareness that like people are gonna say stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Never mind them, man. If anything, they're helping your engagement. To be
people are nosy. They're gonna come and see, whether they love you, hate you, or somewhere in between. I'm
gonna be honest, man. Like social media, I never saw this coming.
Yeah,
never saw this coming. Yeah. I was always the one that was like, "No, I'm cool, man. I'm cool on the Instagram. I'm cool on the, all that." But that's because I was looking at it from the wrong lens. I was looking at how these people I saw wasting their time on it. I saw just people just sitting around just doing this, you know what I mean? And looking at other people's meals and, all this just weird stuff. And I was like, I don't like that, you know what I mean? But I didn't see the whole other world of it, which is like, dude, you can get the most exposure, without even paying for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like a commercial, you can have commercial that reaches millions of people.
Yeah.
Like if you put that commercial on at the Super Bowl, that's millions of people, but how much you got to pay for that? You know what I mean? So it's free. I mean, it's really free. So I would just say start putting your stuff out there, and you you're not going to figure out exactly what it is you want to do until you start trying stuff. You got to try stuff, and then you kind of see, like, I kind of just like am like falling into this little lane of mine where I'm just like, okay, I'll just share stuff that I've picked up along the way. And as barbers, you know, you don't think like, oh, if I go in here and say this, nobody's interested in that. That's because we take it for granted. We take it for granted that we have this wealth of knowledge about hair and grooming and tools and
or you think they already know what you know.
Yeah, you just think that people already know. So they don't. They don't know. So, you know, to be informative and just put your stuff out there, man. Yeah. You know, and it's not the day where like you just put haircuts out there. You gotta get on there. You really got to get on there. People want to know who you are. Yeah. And yeah, it's just crazy to be in this space, man. Because I remember you could have never talked me into going on camera. You know, like, nah, man, I ain't doing that. I ain't even that kind of guy.
Me too. And here we both are on camera, right?
Hey, but you know what? We got to pat ourselves on the back, man, for, you know what I'm saying, changing with the times and growing and letting some of that stuff down and just being like, you know what? I will try some new stuff and have that humble attitude and that humble approach. Yeah. Humility is key, man.
Yeah. So when Quick turns off the lights, turns off the clippers, locks the door on the shop, what is Quick's life like? What do you do outside?
Man, super simple, bro. Super simple. I got my family. I like to work out, you know. Health is wealth, you know, as they say, but I just came from the gym before I came here. Yeah. I prioritize my workouts. You know, I try to get 4 or 5 workouts in a week. First of all, for my mental health. Second of all, just to be healthy. You know, we want to live long lives. And, you know, now I'm at the point where I'm starting to think about what is life like in my 40s and my 50s, 60s, you know what I mean? I don't know if I believe in retirement, you know, all the way because.
How old are you now?
39.
39, okay.
39. So I think I missed out on the second part of your oh, okay, so yeah, what am I doing outside of the shop?
Right.
Well, my family, you know, I go home after I, you know, if I work in the shop, I'm either in the shop or in the office now because I only cut 1-2 days a week now. That's been a real challenge, but I've had some good business people around me that have just been in my ear, like, you know, you can't stay behind that chair. Right. Your shop ain't gonna grow past the point where it's at if you just cut hair. So I've really had to force myself out of the shop because I love being in the shop, man. I thrive on it. Like I get high on it. Like for real. Yeah. I go in there and cut, you know, and have those conversations and, you know, in there jamming with the guys and making people look good and laughing and cutting up and man, I'm on a high at the end of the day that I'm not coming down. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I really have to push myself out of the shop because I want to be able to work on the business. You know what I mean? And sitting down in the office and making those phone calls and having those meetings. You know, I found that a lot of things gets done at coffee shops, man. I'm in the coffee shop all the time having meetings to get things done. Basketball, I love basketball. So, I'm not like the coldest ever on the court, but I got a little jumper, so I go to the park a lot. We're like park junkies, man. We're always at the park, just shooting. Really, I don't really run, full court or nothing like that a lot. I just shooting buckets, working out, being with the fam, and then traveling. I haven't got to do a lot of traveling, up until now, just within the States. But now I'm at the point where my life is set up to where now I can start to get away. Yeah. I've got the shop on a really great system. My team, shout out to my team, man. Everybody over there is super solid. Yeah. I mean, I'll be gone for 3, 4, 5 days, come in the shop, and you wouldn't even know it, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're in there clocking, handling business, taking care of the shop, and that's what I really appreciate, man. Is it's one thing to just go work a job, but I don't really believe in that. I believe that we should be doing something that means something to us. You know, something we're passionate about. And when a barber goes into the shop he's working at, and takes care of it like it's his, that's hard to find, and let alone find a whole group of guys
right
that share that.
Yeah.
So yeah, hats off to my guys over there, man. Super solid. I appreciate them.
Yeah.
For real.
And so any last words you want to say, anything that
No, man, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that you thought of me to come over here. It's really cool just in retrospect, looking back at the day I met you, you know, and then that was 6 years ago, maybe. I think 6 years ago, and fast forward to now to where you're in a better position. You know, I'm in a better position. Yeah, man, we're moving with passion, moving with our hearts. And I found that there's two kinds of successful people. You know, there's people who they're smart and they can figure out how to make money. And then there's people who they move with their heart and they move with their passion. And they're so relentless that they get to the success one way or another at some point. Yeah. So I would venture to say you're one of those people.
Thank you.
You know, I believe I'm one of those people. So I'm just thankful to be on this journey, and however much farther it goes, whatever, I'm happy to be right here today.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming by, spending this time with us, and we thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Barber Block podcast, where we're talking to real barbers, real people, having real talk. So hope you got some good value, some good nuggets out of this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.